Alright, Merts, welcome to the CineMerts podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. We're a couple of guys who like films. We like films about caramel. We also like just caramel and going and buying the caramel and stealing the caramel and watch out, boys will come and via caramel and all the caramel-based substances.
Spider-Man 3.
You know what? This is an interesting beast for me because when this movie first came out, I was the only person on the fucking planet who was defending it.
Yeah, you were, because I was not defending this movie. I was beyond, and I mean beyond salty. Oh my god. Man, if I, as a young person, was complaining about Spider-Man 1 and 2 for not being faithful enough, Jesus Christ. I must have been insufferable.
People of our age in particular, I think, were particularly salty about Spider-Man 3 because Venom was every fan favourite for people our age.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi didn't give a shit about Venom.
Right? Like, when looking at the rest of, like, the cast of things that he's done, in fact, his Venom even makes loads more sense, actually, when looked at through Raimi. He's done something like, oh, let's make some kind of perversion or link to the character, which, let's be real, Spider-Man's characters never really did that. Like,
no.
Not emotionally anyway, like, not really. Like Venom was just, I'm evil Spider-Man. And yeah, like, just to think Raimi was like, cool, I guess I'll just do that. But then he took it to like the logical extreme, which is, yeah, what if I just cast another guy who's just Spider-Man?
Yeah, he's just
Which
kind of douchey Peter.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. It like, here's me, like, as a young person, like, whoosh. Yeah, I missed that. I was like, why is he some skinny guy? He should just be jacked. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, it's thematically it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't I think what a lot of people wanted. To be honest, it wasn't what I really wanted. And for the longest time, I still criticised the Venom aspects, but I absolutely loved how this film did Sandman, which is where I was coming from whenever I'd defend it. I'd be like, yeah, but Sandman's so fucking good, except for the retcon.
Yeah, that retcon. This movie is a troubled beast. Like, every time I found myself going, that's really good, then I'd be like, why is that in the movie? They probably could have just cut that. Or they could have compiled that into a different character. Like, there's so many times.
I can't remember who it was who said this to me once, but it is the best, most concise criticism of this movie. And it's that it had the potential to be 3 really great movies. And instead it was one okay but very, like, troubled movie.
Yeah, like, I'm going to say where I'm coming from at this time. I haven't rewatched this movie probably since I saw it in the cinema. I just know of the movie because, one, it is just meme bait. One thing that makes the movie even better.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, looking back at it, this movie is a lot. And I mean a lot better than, like, I was giving it credit for. I think it holds up to a lot of the MCU.
Yeah. I'd say it's, if I were to place it within the MCU, I'd place it upper mid-tier.
Yeah. It, like, obviously, I think the first 2 Spider-Man movies probably outpace basically anything.
Well, Spider-Man 2 is better than any MCU movie.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1 would be high tier.
Yeah.
With the MCU. And this movie is still pretty high up, but it's like, it's mid. It's mid-high. I would place it alongside, I don't know, like the first Ant-Man movie.
Oh, that's actually, yeah. Actually, that's a really good place for it, because I like that Ant-Man movie. It's really good.
Yeah, second one, pointless. Fucking pointless. But yeah, I'd place it alongside first
Yeah,
Ant-Man movie.
I like that.
That's that kind of
That's nice. That's a nice placement for it, actually. Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing. I think just compared to Spider-Man 1 and 2, it just hurts.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, and I think having some detachment from it probably helps as well. Because even for me, and I was a defender of it, it still was an obvious step down in quality.
Yeah. Like almost like from the get-go, you can kind of notice it. Like just the opening credits. I mean, they're alright.
It's a clip show. Let's put it this way. I wasn't 100% paying attention when you hit play, and it took me a while to realise we weren't on the DVD menu.
Yeah.
Because it's just got like little clips of the first two movies, mostly the first movie, inside webbing.
Yeah.
And the webbing is kind of reminiscent of the first movie, but it's not as cool or inventive as the first one.
Yeah, because it's weird. It's almost like they were recreating the still watercolors from the second movie, because the second one was just actual still watercolors. But I think the fact that it required an extra level of artistry made it more interesting. Whereas, oh look, it's literal footage from the previous movies.
Yeah.
Just a bit dull.
Yeah, it felt a little kind of cheap.
Yeah, I will say that I did like the integration of the symbiote, because at this point, like when it was coming out, it was quite obvious. Like, it was well known that Venom was going to be in the movie. So the symbiote stuff, like entangling with like the webs as it goes, was quite good.
That almost makes me wish they'd have done a full, like they did with the first one, this full hyper creative thing though, and kind of integrated them more in that setting rather than with the clip show stuff. I felt the clip show element just cheapened it so much. And again, this is a theme that's probably going to come up a lot while we're talking about this, but there's a lot of moments where you could see the potential for something better.
Yeah.
And yeah, the opening credit sequence definitely has that.
Yeah.
I know you brought it up a little bit while we were watching, but what did you think of the music side of that? Because they integrate the symbiote theme with the Spider-Man.
Yeah, the symbiote theme is probably my least favorite. Like, I think the symbiote theme only works well in one scene, which it probably is the reason why it only works well in the scenes, because it's the scene it's probably created for. The reveal of the black suit, but I think itself doesn't really work. Not like especially with Spider-Man 2, where you've got like the Danny Elfman score from the first movie that then mixes into the Doc Ock theme, which works so well. Like, it's almost like they're the same contrasting songs, which works well because Dr. Octopus or Otto Octavius is like a Dark Peter almost, in the fact that he's a scientist who then gets screwed over. I like that aspect. It works really well. So it seems like it's like, oh, there's going to be a face-off between these two. It just felt like, hey, we also have another theme that's going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really work, I don't feel.
And this is, because you brought this up before we even put the movie in, is largely probably due to the lack of Danny Elfman in this movie.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I'm aware of there was some kind of falling out between Raimi and Danny Elfman, essentially leading to Danny Elfman leaving the project, I think, before it even really began. So they ended up just reusing Spider-Man 1 and 2 tracks mainly.
Yeah.
And then getting somebody else in who I think was the guy who did the symbiote or the black suit theme, which is noticeably not on the same level.
Yeah, the thing is, Danny Elfman is it's trying to sound like a Danny Elfman sort of piece of music, but it almost sounds like it's trying too hard to sound like an Elfman thing. Where it's almost doing like, it almost sounds like how Tim Burton uses Danny Elfman or something like that, where it's that kind of, it's a little too bombastic, it's a little too, which doesn't
but it's
really
weird
fit.
because it's also really muted. Like
Yeah.
It's a weird. It just doesn't really fit. For me, it really feels like it's just odd.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that was like the opening credits.
Yeah.
This is, get ready for a long video.
So I do actually, though, going from that, I do like that we have basically the exact opposite of the first two movies at the beginning, where it's like, Peter's life's going great.
Yeah. I'm gonna refer back to, because the internet is just part of society now. Like, we've all seen how it should have ended, and their weird criticism where it's like, Spider-Man, why are you narrating? It's like, because he did it in both the other movies.
Yeah.
Like, he's always done this. Like,
yeah.
Maybe you're just realizing he's narrating now because he's seeming upbeat rather than somber. Yeah.
But it is cool to see that mirror where it's like, he's doing okay. He's doing well in his studies now, although it's like he's still getting picked on a little bit. But like, it's just which is a weird moment, by the way, because the guy just brought in a wing mirror.
No, it's like a dentist mirror.
Is it a dentist mirror? That's just as weird.
Dude's like, yeah, I got like dentistry as well as my physics class. And I just love the way they're like, man, Peter's such a nerd, fucking loser. Now let's get back to this quantum physics. Like,
yeah, right. It's like you're
all nerds.
This is university. You paid to do this.
Nah, they're like, yeah, the only reason I go to university at all is just to bully people. Like, I feel this should be a movie. Like, this is literally the character's whole motivation. Like, he just goes to university so he can keep bullying people.
But he's doing like a super difficult major, like 2 difficult courses as well, because he's also doing dentistry. Like, both of those are like really deep involved majors. He's not doing something like, I don't know, something straightforward like, I don't know, sports science or something. You know what I mean?
He's like, no. I'm going in quantum physics. And then like my dentistry, which does require like you basically have to become a doctor. Like,
yeah.
All right, yeah. Just being a douchebag.
Yeah, I would like to see more of that guy. Come on, let's start a petition. Bring him into the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, that was the failing of this movie. I would have saved it. There was no pizza guy. Like...
Yeah. So yeah, we go from that, and like
you see some of MJ's life and how that's going really well as well.
Yeah,
she's performing.
Yeah.
Freaking Kirsten Dunst doing some amazing singing. It sounds really good. And Peter makes it to her shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yep, he's being a good boyfriend. And then apparently Harry also made it there, and he's just looking like a creepy predator, like, yeah, Mary
like,
Jane.
I'm the bad guy now. But he's not doing anything sinister. He's literally just going to watch a play.
Yeah, like, and he came with like the little mini binoculars, and he's like, yeah. Like, what?
I love as well when Peter visits her backstage. He's like, did you get my flowers? Yeah. Oh, these are Harry's. And it's like, it's not just that it's a giant bunch of flowers that's bigger. It's like the same flowers. Like, right. It's like the exact same bunch, but just way bigger. Like, it's like, did you look at what ones Peter was getting and then like specifically picked out a bigger bunch of the same one?
Fuck you, Peter. Like,
even the ribbon on it and everything was the
like,
same.
he went in, like, he like waited for Peter to go to like the thing, get like the flowers, and then he was like, "Get him what that guy was getting, except make it bigger."
Why? First, you attack his heart. Then we basically go from that to the Well, does he speak to Mayfest? Or
No, they chill out in the park.
Yeah. So this is where we get they're laying in a giant web.
Yeah, which you're like, Peter, you're just in Central Park. Like, you're not like,
he's not even as Spider-Man. He's just in his regular.
He's just in his regular clothes, and I'm like, you guys are. I'm sure anyone can just see you if they walk by. They're like, hey, there's two people just in a web. Like,
yeah, but while they're laying there, with a relatively cool kind of swooping camera move, you see an asteroid, a meteorite, just crash, and that's how Venom is in this movie.
Yeah, like
it just happens to crash like about 4 feet away from Peter.
And he's just like, I just go onto his bike then, and I ain't even gonna lie. You don't want to know how angry I was when I was a kid when I watched this movie. I say a kid, like, when this movie came out, like 2017 or something.
Yeah, you were like 17 years old when this movie
man, I was pissed. I was like, John Jameson comes back from the moon with a rock, and Spider-Man tries to save him and gets like the black goo on him. This what makes sense. How are they just gonna have a meteorite just land on a? Like, this is dumb.
It is weird as well because they have totally established John Jameson.
Yeah, I know.
In the last movie,
right?
And also that he's an astronaut.
Yeah.
Like they specifically say he's an astronaut in the last movie, so
they actually
had it really easy in there.
They could have done something. Like I think that they should have done anything else.
Yeah,
it's too convenient. It's ridiculous.
But I will say, Venom looks so fucking good. I'm talking about the symbiote itself. Looks so fucking good. That fluid simulation and the way it's kind of sinewy and like muscles, and it's kind of grabbing everything as it moves along. It feels really alive.
What's that movie? Life? Yeah, did you see that movie Life?
Don't think
the little alien Calvin.
Oh yeah.
Like, they fucking send it to sleep and they're like, oh, hold on, I'll just wake it back up by electrocuting it a little bit, and then it's like, oh shit, these guys are trying to electrocute me. I don't know, like, guess I have to defend myself, and then goes on like a killing spree. Yeah. It's kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah, a little bit. It's so good, and I said this while we were watching. I think it looks better than the symbiote in Venom.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy considering how long ago Spider-Man 3 came out compared to just how recent Venom was. I mean, Venom was, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2018, so it's like at least 11 years. There is between the two movies.
Yeah. It's crazy how good it looks. Like, it holds up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, where do we go from there? Do we get Sandman's intro? Like,
yeah, Sandman. Like, it's a bit crazy because they really are. Like, the Sony execs really have fucking shafted him. Like, Raimi didn't want to have Venom in the movie. And, you know, he wanted to just do his Sandman story with, I guess, Green Goblin. But, yeah, like, so, you know, we've now just established that Harry's doing things. There was a meteorite, and then you see, like, Flint Marko going to... breaking into a house, and then you see him like sitting by some little kid, leaving like a bunch of letters.
I actually think that scene overall I really like, because he goes and leaves some letters and kind of sits with the kid for a little while, then goes out, and it's like, okay, this is like his ex-wife, I guess. Not the kid, obviously. That'd be weird. Be a very different character.
Hey, his name is like what's that? His name is Jeffrey. Like, no. It's not no Marco over here, not Flip Marco. Yeah.
So yeah, he goes and like, his wife sort of sees him and she's like, you know, fuck you doing in my house? They have this sort of argument where she's kind of like, you're an escape con, you're not allowed, you can't come here, what are you doing? He's like, I just want to see my daughter, and you know, it's kind of a good sort of intro to the character.
Yeah, it establishes that he has like issues and other things. Like,
for as a condensed time scale as they have to introduce him
and give him motivations. Yeah,
they do it very succinctly. You said that you didn't like the line right at the end where he literally goes, I'm not a bad person. I just have bad luck.
like, hey man, like, I don't know who you're trying to tell here, because one, like, your wife's not going to be convinced by that, like, and your daughter doesn't think you're a bad person anyway because you're just their dad. And so you're now just talking to the audience at this point, and we just watched that previous scene. So, like, why the fuck did you just say it? Mm-hmm. The scene is good.
Oh, in that scene, his daughter gives him a locket.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah. Becomes a bit of a recurring thing for a character. I do feel that it totally does bring up one thing that maybe even Raimi himself didn't realise he was saying. Healthcare needing to be paid for is bullshit. Mm-hmm. And at no point should it be a thing. It should just be free at the need of care. Yep. Because, well, you find out, why did Philip Marco do anything? Because he has to pay ridiculous monies to try and save his child daughter. Mm. Who's really the criminal in this scenario?
Oh, yeah.
Him or the system that allows his child daughter to die because he didn't pay enough money?
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but not sorry. Like, no, it's just a bullshit system. Mm-hmm. America, like, you need to pass Medicare for all. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Get on that shit, Biden. He's not coming.
Yeah, I know. It's
He's
not
going
to happen. It's not going to happen.
So from there we can. The next scene is Peter visits his Aunt May.
Yep.
He basically visits to say that he's going to propose to MJ. And can I just say, Aunt May is just great still. Like, she's like the best thing, I think, in all three of these fucking movies.
Oh yeah. She just gold every time.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like this perfect, like, she has got that over, like, that real hyper sincerity thing that Raimi loves to do, but she's also kind of down to earth enough that she does kind of scan as just completely believable.
Yeah. Like, she's just really human.
Yeah.
I enjoy, what was it? Her telling of how Uncle Ben proposed to her. Mm-hmm. And there's just a certain level of writing awkwardness, which you know, as a writer, you'd probably just take it out, but, you know, it would just be a thing that a person probably would do in telling a story when they're not great at telling stories. Mm-hmm. When she's like, oh, I remember this, and like Ben took me out to the beach and he looked really good in this swimsuit, and to be fair, I didn't look bad myself. Anyway, he said, let's go out to this island. So yeah, we did. And then he said, May, close your eyes. So I did. Then he said, May, open your eyes. So I did. You're like, what? Yeah. What? Why would you put that? And then she's like, when I opened them, I saw there was a dazzling diamond and this ring. A beautiful diamond ring. Diamond ring. Girl. She's dead. Anyways. No, the fact that, like, there's just a weird, stilted way of that line being said, because she could have contracted that. There's probably, like, some people who would do that, but I like the fact that she says that. It makes it so believable. Like, she's an old lady telling a story about how she got like engaged. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to necessarily be the most narratively well structured story.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. Like, I don't know, like part of me is like, was it a writing mistake or is it just writing genius? I don't know.
Yeah, and I like that she also is like, it's like, and you said yes? No. I said no. He wasn't ready to put. He wasn't ready to get married. To get married, you have to put your wife ahead of you, and he wasn't prepared to do that, and I wasn't ready. It's like, that's good.
Fucking Aunt May just nailing it again. Yeah. I love that actress. She is fantastic. But I ain't even gonna lie though, Raimi does it again. Did it again. Freaking red-pilled Raimi coming through. Aunt May's like, Peter, you know that wedding rings are just a capitalist scam. Then she's like, dust me down your cupboard and gives him her ring. Because
Levi, our
like, and then the camera zooms in and there's just a hammer and sickle on the ring. Yeah, like May just crushing those marketing execs going like, you need to buy this expensive ring. She's like, fuck that noise, just have this one for free. Like, also, I really love it, so it's got a lot of sentimental value, so it actually means more than like a ring that you'd buy anyway.
Yeah.
So
I do like though that it's like, again, it makes sense. They could have gone, like, the prop department could have gone with some big, like, luxurious looking diamond ring, and it's not. It's just this kind of like cheap thing.
It's a reasonable family ring. Like,
yeah.
There's definitely more sentimental value in the ring than there is financial value.
Mm-hmm. Do we go into the fight with Harry right after that?
Yes, because this movie is rushed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the first action scene really in the movie is also the worst.
Yeah, it's like really dull. Like, really dull.
It's not shot particularly interestingly.
Yeah.
And there's not really any good, like, set piece moments. There's one bit in one moment where, like, a bit of the wall gets destroyed and Peter kind of crawls on it while it's falling. I liked that. I liked that moment.
I think the best set piece that they have is the ring shot. Like,
when he drops the ring and he
tries to grab it and he can't. That's probably, in my opinion, the best shot that they kind of had.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, the scene feels a little video gamey.
It does.
Every other scene in the entire trilogy so far has like a really good awareness of space, where the characters are, what's happening. And in this, it just feels like they're on like an endless stage on Tekken where you don't have to worry about, the background ever catching up to you. You just keep going and just keep moving.
Just kind of imagining Harry like air juggling. They should have done.
You technically did.
Yeah.
Which is, it's so weird that this is the scene as well that has the least stuff, because this is the first time characters have actually had complete freedom. Like, Peter can web sling, so he can stay in the air completely, and Harry's on the glider.
Yeah.
This is the first time that they've had a fight that can just be in the air and not require anything, but they just don't really do much with it. And then it ends a little anticlimactically in just a back alley.
Yeah, it's also a really lackluster intro to Harry's version of the Green Goblin. Yeah. It's like, you've been building up for this for 2 movies.
Right.
And they kind of just blew their wad. Like, there's no, like, cool shot or anything. Or
he's just like, you knew this was coming, Peter. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, wait, you're just wearing like a black tracksuit with like a ski mask on?
Yeah.
That comes off with a school, like our college, like CGI, like mask removal.
Literally. CGI, that was done in Photoshop, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We literally did that frame by frame in Photoshop.
It's really sad. I think it would have been nice if Harry's Green Goblin suit could have retained anything from the original Green Goblin.
Yeah, it to me it felt a little bit studio involvement-y. It's like, yeah, let's make him on a surfboard because that's like kind of cool, and like the kids will like that if it's kind of, you know, this whole like the whole extreme sports thing, like that was popular like 5 years ago. So we'll
Yeah,
like,
if it was me, even if they were going to change the outfit to the awful one, I would have been like, fine, then we have to have the original glider. If I wanted to have the new trash hoverboard glider, I would have said, okay, then we need to keep some suit aspects.
yeah, I
At
don't know,
least
the
make it
whole
green.
thing, like the whole design with the mask, the Batman style like arm spikes, and the surfboard, like all together, it feels like it was designed by a toy company.
Yeah.
It absolutely feels like it was like, yeah, you know, this will sell, we'll sell a lot of toys with this, you know, because, you know, it's kind of what's trendy with the kids, or what out of touch middle-aged executives think is trendy with the kids, i.e. it was trendy with the kids about 5 years before the movie even began development.
Right.
Like the extreme sports thing was basically dead at this point, but like,
Yeah, it's like Tony Hawk's Underground 2 didn't do that well, man.
Yeah. Even though it was the better game, but
I don't know about that. Carry on. It's a Spider-Man review.
But yeah, it was it did feel very like it was designed by committee, and it's not great, and even if it was, it'd be a terrible reveal because it just kind of happens. It's not.
Yeah. Nah, no fanfare, no nothing. It's just like, this is happening. And then as soon as we're given it, it's just taken away.
Yeah.
I
And Harry gets amnesia.
Like we're in some literal shit soap opera. Like,
He
man.
got hit on the head. Now he's got amnesia.
And like, the craziest thing is like, why did Harry's amnesia, you know, make him just way more charming than he's ever been in the rest of like the series? It's like, wait a minute. Like, I thought like the whole thing about your friendship was that you guys weren't really friends, but you know, you're both losers, so you kind of just hung out with each other, and it's like a friendship of convenience. Now it's almost like you're actually friends or something. Like, what's going on?
Peter is my best friend.
Hey Harry, it's good to see you. Like, how's your love life? No, he's like, how's my love life?
Yeah, it is really, yeah. It's a bad sort of contrivance, because the movie was rushed and they shoved too many things into one movie, and this is one of the problems with this fucking film.
Yeah,
and it's the most disappointing element of it. I actually think the Goblin is more disappointing to me than Venom. Overall,
on my new adult brain analysis, yeah, I would agree with that. Just because the Goblin's actually been built up for, we know it. We have like a previously established Goblin as well to base it off of. It's not a reworking. It's not a spin. It's just random.
Yeah.
I would love to see what Raimi's thoughts were, or what was going on with this. Over the last little bit, I basically have rewatched some of the making ofs of the previous Spider-Man movies, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll watch the making of for Spider-Man 3 ahead of time, so I at least can have some tidbits of info.
Yeah.
Because we try not to dig into them, but I thought maybe I'll just watch the making of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there just isn't one. Like
that is almost a guaranteed sign that there was a troubled production.
there's some director's commentaries, but that would require me to watch the movie, and we just watch the movies and then we discuss them. So yeah, I was like, oh shit, there's literally not a making of. The one time I was going to cheat, and like just no cheating allowed.
There's rules to this. Yeah, I that doesn't really surprise me though, because like I say, when you have a troubled production, like it's a difficult one to spin. Sometimes they'll do it. Oh, it's all this fantastic production where everyone got on great, and there were definitely no arguments with it between anyone, and it was all good. We're like a family. It's like...
Captain Mark Hamill, like after the movie, like I died.
But yeah, it's not overly surprising, because this movie is the exact sort of mess that you get when you have clash between studio and a director, particularly a director who is, I hate the term auteur because I think it's overused, but I would say that Raimi fits that.
Yes, he does.
And auteurs clash with studios because they don't like to compromise their films.
Yeah, they've got a vision, and you've paid them to do a job, so you should let them do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it especially when they've proven themselves with two massively successful and critically acclaimed films.
Yeah, especially since the last one was bigger than anyone had even hoped.
Yeah,
like not to stoke everything on Raimi, because I do feel that sometimes people do ignore the X-Men movies when they're like bringing back the superhero genre.
Mm-hmm.
But like, man, basically single-handedly brought back the superhero genre.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
I would also say that Spider-Man had more impact on how the superhero genre would unfold than the X-Men movies did.
Yes.
Yeah, especially if you look at the MCU and things that came later, it's like they owe a lot to the Spider-Man movies. So yeah, I think that he 100% proved himself, and the studio should have just trusted him.
Yeah.
But instead they were worried. They thought, oh, why you keep doing all this Golden Age crap? You need to like... God, there was no Golden Age. Spider-Man is post-Golden Age of comics.
Yeah.
Silver Age. Why are you doing all this Silver Age crap? You know what I mean? Like, you need to, like, do the updated stuff. You need to put in Venom and a cool surfboard villain and all this other extra shit.
It's like, no one wants Sandman. He's a guy in a green t-shirt. Like,
probably part of the reason I defended this movie is I always liked Sandman. So I was like, always like, yeah.
I had like literally no connection to him because I don't think Sandman got any episodes in the 1994 series.
Yeah, you didn't read the comics, did you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Talking of Sandman, I think right after the Harry and Peter fight, we're pretty much at Sandman's origin, aren't we?
Yeah, more or less.
Which you pointed out, like, what is this experiment that they're doing? Like, he's running away from the police, right? He jumps into like this test area, and they're just like, oh, we're demolecularizing. It's like, sand?
Yeah, it's like, you dematerialize some sand. But, like, then at the end of it, there's just still sand there. So, like, just rematerialize some sand.
So, move the molecules around a little bit in some sand?
Like...
Is that... What's
like,
the experiment?
Yeah,
what
like, how do you know if it worked? Like, if I just got a big fan, did I just do the experiment? Like...
But anyway, he's in there, no one notices. So they switch on the thing. Because apparently there's like no cameras or anything. And
yeah. Guys
no
don't
like
even want to look at it. They're like,
yeah,
you just press the fucking button, man. Like, do you want to see this thing happen? Like, we're going to dematerialize some stuff. Like, man, I don't want to see it. Like,
I'm not even sure what we're doing here. Let's just press the button. Look, the company that's funding this, it's the end of a tax year. They just need to blow some money, okay? We just made a big expensive thing. It's going to spin around for a little bit. We're not even sure if it does anything. And that's that. They get to pay a little bit less in tax. So he gets caught in it and has the coolest transformation sequence I think this whole movie's got. Like, I honestly think it's the best origin sort of moment.
Yeah.
Certainly when it comes to villains. You could maybe argue Spider-Man's origin itself, but like, because that's really cool with the DNA stuff.
Yeah,
that whole sequence.
I think this is like really creative and artsy. Like you can play Birth of the Sandman on its own.
Oh
like,
yeah, could be. You could have released that as a short film.
Yeah.
And like it, yeah.
It's really really well done. Like I was a little surprised. Well, I shouldn't have been. That I could see the age in the thing because I remember it looking beyond real. So
you can. The thing is, it looks really really good when he's dematerializing. When he first turns into sand, that looks amazing, and that holds up. Like you said, like that literally competes with the snap.
Yeah. I was
Infinity
like,
War, you know what I
this
mean?
is the snap, like
yeah,
shit,
it's
like...
really really good. And when he first starts to reform, it also looks really good. Like when he's reforming, but it's not fully, and that all looks great when it's just kind of a vague human shape, and then it collapses, and it's again, but his head's kind of hollow, and he gets like a little bit, and then he collapses again, and that's all really good. It's only really when it fully forms that you can then sort of see it, particularly when he puts his hands over his face, because you can see that kind of the hands kind of floating slightly in front of his face.
It feels a little bit PS2-y. Like again, I'm really not trying to criticize. I still think the scene looks amazing. It's just a case of, hey, like my last time watching this scene, I was like, this is the best thing ever, because we were like, what, probably in college? No,
yeah, we'd have been
college.
we'd have been about college age.
Was it 07 this movie? I don't remember when this movie came out. Like,
we were in it would have been within that time. We were 07. We were in college 07 to 09. So
we would have been looking at like 3D modeling and stuff like that. So at that time we were learning about this stuff. So we were like, holy shit, this looks good.
Yeah. But really, there's only a couple of shots that don't hold up. Like the vast majority of it looks really, really good. And I think part of that as well is the character that's in it. Like, it's not just the fact that
it looks like you're
good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it's not just the fact that the particle physics look really good, which they do, but it's the character you see within that. It's like, him reforming looks painful. And you can see him struggling to form himself back.
You can also feel like the confusion in like him, and it's really great. I love the moment where he looks over and he can see the locket.
Oh yeah.
And he reaches for the locket, and like as he grabs it, his hand just breaks and falls apart. Like that's really good. Like, that's just a nice, really nice shot.
Yeah. It feels very inspired by like the Iron Man, not Iron Man, Marvel's Iron Man, but the story like Iron Giant. The original short story. It feels very much like that, where it's like that kind of reforming yourself and rebuilding yourself. It definitely has that feel to it.
I was kind of saying, I think I mentioned while we were watching it, I feel that Zack Snyder probably should have tried to just steal this scene when doing the rebirth of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because they used, if I remember rightly, because I haven't seen that movie in a long time, they use a montage.
Yeah.
There's like a clip where he kind of fades in and you can see like the nervous system kind of hovering.
Yeah,
like,
see,
basically
what they did was they did a montage of basically what you see in the comics in Watchmen. And it's like, but the thing is, like, film isn't comics. Like, comics, you have to do it sequentially, right? You have to do it as a series of different shots.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that. You don't have movement. In film, you have an advantage there. You could really
like,
show it.
I really feel that if he had slowed down to, like, just do a guy actually pulling himself together atom by atom. It's literally the Sandman scene, except on literally a molecular level. That could have been really interesting to see. But whatever, like, That movie was.
They
not
wouldn't
that
have
good.
made it good.
No, but like it would have just been nice to see a what was it a more modern, updated version of the scene. Like I don't know, I think that would have been a wise choice, but meh, whatever. I'm just better than Zack Snyder. Who cares?
We're all better than Zack Snyder. Is this the case to the city?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just before that. It's the accident.
Right. Yeah.
Because MJ comes to see Peter and talk to him because she got a bad review.
Yeah.
And like some people like complained like Peter's being a dick in this scene, but like he's like, nah, MJ, like it's one bad thing. I get like bad shit said about me as Spider-Man. Like I think you'll be okay because I was there and you were great. MJ then's like, yeah, but you need to listen to me. So Peter stops. Here's what she has to say, and then she's like, yeah, it's like my dad said these things, like, and it really hurts. So he listens to her. I would have said, hey, Peter, it's probably not a cool thing to have a heart-to-heart with your girlfriend, and then, like, when your police scanner goes off, be like, cool, babe, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Go get him, Tiger. Like, but, you know, it turns out, like, apparently he was needed for this one.
Yeah, because this is a crane that randomly ends up out of control.
Yeah, dude's just like it would have just been better if the guy was just like, I'm fucking drunk, like just steering this random crane on top of the building like an idiot. But yeah, the crane's malfunctioning, so he's like, you gotta cut the power, guys. Wouldn't it just be like petrol? Anyway, like it's just plugged in, like it's got this, it's like see the multi outlet. like, so like this guy's bloody crane's going crazy, and what happens? It smashes into like a building nearby, and who's in that building? Gwen Stacy. And,
who we didn't mention, but she is a classmate of Peter's in the early scene where Peter's getting a mirror shone in his face.
To which I wrote, this scene, or like little sequence is kind of cool. Like, you know, you want Spider-Man to do some saving people action. Mm-hmm. Cool. All good. Why is Gwen Stacy in this movie? What does she add? What does she bring? Why? If anything was like a random superfluous ad, it's really that it's Gwen Stacy.
Part of me wonders if there was more to her before, like an entire extra villain got shoved into the movie and everything got rearranged, because it does seem really odd that they would introduce her.
Yeah, like I was like, does she do anything? Does she serve a function?
She's somewhat of a plot device in that she causes Mary Jane to kind of get pissed off with Peter.
Yeah, but like
that could have literally been anyone.
Yeah, literally anyone. Like if they wanted to, that could have been Betty. They could have used Betty Grant.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, why the hell is she in this movie? Aside from the fact that she's a name from the Spider-Man universe.
You know, it's funny, when she first was in it, I was like, oh, so she's going to die then, because that's the only thing, that's the only notable thing about Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
They literally killed her off because she didn't have any character traits. She was boring.
Right?
So, like, she's just the one who's famous for dying.
Yep. Before it was a thing to constantly kill off, like, your superhero's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
It was basically the first of it started that trend.
Yeah. Now it's played out.
Yep.
On a side note, though, you know that, like, Miles ends up cucking Peter, right? Like, Miles Morales, like, because he ends up marrying Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Like, from another universe. So I was like, wait a minute. So, like, Miles ends up just dating Gwen? Like, so is in like the Spider-Man like PS4 game, I guess, is Gwen just gonna be there and she's like Peter's ex-girlfriend, and then Miles is just like, hey Peter, meet my new girlfriend.
Oh my god.
And then he's just like, Miles, this is kind of weird. Like, also, this woman's like several years older than you. He's like, shut up, Peter. Like, you couldn't handle a real woman like Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, it is a really pointless addition to the movie. But anyway, she's she's kind of like about to fall out of the skyscraper. Peter obviously swings in and saves her. That's also like when we get like Eddie Brock being like to Captain Stacy, like, I'm dating your daughter. It's like, don't worry, that's not really going to be part of the story
Yeah, I know, right?
at all.
Like, they just established that, I guess, he has, like, a tiny crush on her. I think later in the movie, he's like, remember that amazing night we had? Like, we had, like, coffee, dude.
I love that he, like, told Captain Stacy that they were dating, and it's like, oh, I guess they kind of weren't. He just interpreted it as that.
Right.
So,
I don't know. I think he knew. He just said it because he's a douchebag.
yeah. So, basically, like, because Peter saves her, I guess he gets invited to take the keys to the city?
Yeah, literally.
How this operates, I don't know.
Say Peter saved Captain Stacy's daughter.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Or Spider-Man saved Captain Stacy's daughter. Therefore, we're giving him the key to the city. To which I'm like, isn't that just extreme nepotism? Like,
yeah.
Oh, wait, you saved the police captain's daughter? Oh, and fuck like all those other people. Now you deserve the key to the city.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, like, how do you, like I say, does Spider-Man have like a press email that you contact? Right? Like, does he have a PO box?
Like, well, what do? They just like play the sign like, Spider-Man, we're giving you the key to the city. Like, please come. But, like, could you imagine if like in that scene he just didn't show up?
Yeah.
Like, he was like, oh, guys, I just didn't know that you were doing this. Like, I missed all the notes.
Yeah.
Like, I actually live in the sewers because I'm like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But, you know, do we go straight into that or am I missing
No.
So, yeah, he goes
MJ...
Oh, yeah, MJ gets fired.
Yeah.
She gets fired.
Which I'm like, how are you
because of one bad review?
No.
Oh, no,
it was all the reviews.
Which, really? But she's like really good, and also the woman who's auditioning to replace her is fucking terrible. Which apparently she's not auditioning. Apparently she just got it because they plaster her name over. I guess plays like that will have understudies, right? But like,
yeah, I know, right? I was like, surely they would just be using the understudies.
Yeah, but like weird. She's like nowhere near as good. Like,
yeah, I was like,
it's really hard.
Huh? Like, okay, what loony bin universe do they live in? But all right.
Yeah.
Then we get a scene where the Sandman is spotted by some police, and then he hides in a big van of sand. Where it's like, do you just have like spider sense for sand? Like he's like, I'll be able to hide in here. Like, what? It does have a cool section though, which I thought was nice. They have, when he does his little attack and beats up a couple of cops, he like flies down the street and the sand is blowing really hard. Mm-hmm. So it flips a couple of cars. And the cars that get flipped, they're actually practical. Yeah. So I was looking, I was like, these aren't fake. Oh shit, like they flipped a couple of cars and then put like the CGI over that. Okay, yeah. That's pretty nice. That's pretty good. Like, because it was a pretty wide shot. Mm-hmm. Like that's probably some budget.
Yeah. Oh, there's some good sequences in this movie. Absolutely. So yeah, they because he's like, there's a whole keys to the city thing. Like,
then it goes to the keys to the city.
He does his upside down kiss with Gwen Stacy.
Look, I said it, and I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna get some serious hot water for this. I'll defend the kiss. I'll defend it. Now, I still have criticisms, but I think, like, when you're Spider-Man, you swing in to, like, get the key to the city, and then the entire crowd is like, you should give this lady a kiss. What's he going to do? Like, nah, probably shouldn't, guys. Bye. Like, it doesn't make sense. You've got the peer pressure. You're, like, the superhero. People want to see it. Like, what I will criticize is, you shouldn't have done the upside down kiss, Peter. That was a bad move. Yeah. If I were you, I would have I would have just landed, maybe done a through the mask kiss. Like, hell, if you're going to lift it up a little, just give her like a kiss on the cheek. Maybe a quick lip kiss. You don't need to use tongue.
Yeah.
Don't be weird. Like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's as far as I'll go.
But then, yeah, so...
Oh, yeah, James Franco's out of his coma now, and he's being, like, best friends.
Oh, yeah, he's, like, being all, like, nice now.
And he's like, MJ, oh, yeah, this is so cool to see you here. Where's Peter? Oh, he's taking pictures, I guess, somewhere. Like, and then she freaks out because, obviously, Peter's making out with Gwen Stacy while upside down. Not a good look.
Nah. This leads right into the Sandman fight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, because
Sandman then like just flies in and he's like, "I'm a big pile of sand."
Yeah.
And yeah, they get into like Peter gets into a little bit of a fight with him. It's again not an amazing sequence. There's like a bit of like bank car door surfing.
Yeah.
Peter saves some of the guys. Like, it's nice to see Peter saving some people again. Like,
yeah, these movies never forget that element.
Like, yeah, he is a hero, not just a villain puncher. But it's it just works. It's functional. It's a functional scene.
Yeah. You need to have that first sort of conflict.
Like, I do like the fact that like afterwards Peter is just like takes off his mask and he's like, where the hell do all these guys keep coming from? There's just sand everywhere.
Yeah.
And he just takes off his shoe and just like out comes a ridiculous amount of sand.
Yeah. So when we learn that he's barefoot in those boots, it just doesn't seem like it'd be pleasant.
Yeah, I know.
Oh god, I'm starting to lose where things happen. This movie's quite muddy, so like...
Yeah.
So I had to remember the exact order of things.
From here, Peter's like kind of... Oh, they get that call about...
Oh yeah, like...
Uncle Ben.
Oh god, this movie is so rushed. Like... It's I mean, it's contrived anyway, but it's like, why are these scenes so close together? Like...
Yeah.
So yeah, like, yeah, right from there, they get the call and it's like, oh, it turns out that your uncle wasn't killed by this dude from the first movie. No, he's killed by this dude who you literally just fought like 2 minutes ago. What a world.
It's like, meteor landed right next to you. Like, this guy gets turned to sand. By the way, that guy who just got turned to sand, you just had a fight with, turns out he actually just killed your uncle. Whew. Okay. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of conveniences, huh? Like,
When I say I'm a defender of this movie, that comes with caveats.
Yeah. Like, I like that, obviously, it creates turmoil, because MJ and... I think somewhere in there, I think MJ and Peter try to get married? Or not get married, but the proposal...
The proposal comes right after that, I think.
I think the proposal was
the proposal
just
right
before. Sorry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The proposal comes right before that, because that's our Bruce Campbell cameo.
Yep, Bruce Campbell.
And remember, it's always the same character. All three of them. He's just put on a French accent this time.
He's like, but of course, I'm French.
There's not a huge amount to say about that scene other than the Bruce Campbell thing, really. It's like, I do find it quite funny, because obviously it just leads to an argument, because like Mary Jane just saw the kiss.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know...
And then Gwen Stacy's just like, hi, Peter.
Yeah,
How you doing?
She just shows up and she's like, can you send me those photos you took of me kissing Spider-Man?
Yeah, and then she's like, could you imagine kissing Spider-Man? And then she's like, you know what? I like to imagine riding Spider-Man's dick. Don't you, Mary Jane? Anyway, have fun.
Yeah, so, that leads to kind of a big fight. She storms out, and the whole time this is happening, Peter keeps accidentally calling over, because he's put the wedding ring in some champagne, and he's got the Bruce Campbell to like bring it out.
Worst
Terrible
marriage
proposal idea.
proposal
Terrible.
idea.
But
God.
he keeps accidentally waving him over and then like kind of shoving him away. And then they come over, and this is where it's like, yeah, no, Bruce Campbell's just doing this intentionally to fuck with the guy. He still sends it out, even though it's clear that she's storming out. And the guy comes over and he starts playing the song from the Broadway show on the violin. But, like, he's playing it to an empty table. Then there's, the police scene. And then we go from there into... Yeah, Mary Jane comes round then.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, I'm just worried about you. Like... I don't care. Forget the fight. Forget everything. Like just
like you just got some bad news about your uncle, and you got like spider powers and are a vigilante who can kill anyone who they want. You sure you're not about to become unhinged, bro? And he's like, no, man, it's fine. You should probably just get out of here. Bye.
And this is where we get the black suit.
And baby,
I do like that the black suit attaches itself to Peter at a time of emotional, at a time he wants the revenge and everything. It feels really cohesive to do it at that point.
The black suit boosts these things, like these emotions, and then the black suit like happens to bond to him at that time when, you know, he wants that extra like vengeance and like he wants the aggression. So it's almost like the symbiote was like, actually, this guy seems like he's got a lot of... He's like, good.
Yeah.
Good. I can feel your hate. And I was really happy with it because, I don't know, Raimi, he didn't really like the Venom stuff because he was like, stop reading the comics before any of that shit happened.
Yeah.
So he didn't know about it. So I'm guessing at a certain point he was like, let me just watch some of this 1994 Spider-Man cartoon. Because in the comics, he gets the symbiote in the Secret Wars. Like he's just on a place and then he just touches this weird black orb and then a new suit's on him. And he's like, oh, okay. But in the 1994 series, you know, that spaceship crash and he gets black goo on him and he takes off his suit and goes to bed. Well, out of the hamper crawls like this goddamn black goo that goes onto him and like it starts to bond to him. Now, we don't get this awkward scene where like a massive black like blob monster tries to like grab a tiny Peter Parker to eat him, and then like a giant like Spider-Man comes in to try and save him. But what we do get is the fucking best reveal, and the only time that I guess the symbiote, the black suit theme works. He's upside down, and he like just opens his eyes, and he's just hanging from like a web and off the skyscraper, and we see his reflection, and the camera turns around and pans outwards, and it's so good. I didn't even remember. This Raimi did such a good job at telling this scene. I had to do a quick rewatch of the 1994 sequence just to see how much of it he recreated, and he kind of only recreated like the initial premise, you know, Spider-Man's hanging and sees himself. Like the camera turn and pan around, that was all Raimi. But I remember that happening in the 1994 cartoon series. That's how good Raimi's version is. It's freaking awesome. So I'll give mega points for that.
And then like from then, you see, we end up with Black Suit Peter, and look, Black Suit Peter is my favourite character in any of these movies. I love it. Like on such a just deep level. It's just because he's still the biggest dork out there.
Yep.
He's just also kind of douchey now.
Yep.
But also not that douchey. Like, most of what he does would be normal by most other people's standards. Maybe like, that's a little inconsiderate, I guess. But like...
Right. He's like, you'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. Peter's going through a difficult time right now. We should just leave him alone. Like, no, he wasn't being mean. He was right.
Yeah. Do you think maybe you should fix the door, though? I mean, it's very clearly broken. It's terrible. You have to lift it up, and then, like, later the door handle falls off of it. It's like the door is just gradually getting worse as the movie goes on.
Right.
It's like, do you not think that's in any way a factor here? Nah. Nah, he's just going. It's unreal. It's not the door. It's other stuff. Well, even if it is the other stuff, I mean, the door still needs attention, right? Maybe you should do the door.
No, give me the rent. Fucking Mr. Dinklage. I fucking love that guy.
He gets, like, you know, the boosting confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And the slightly more, you know, the aggressive side. Although that doesn't show straight away.
No, but like, for some reason, this is one thing that is in the comics that I personally still hate anyway.
Oh, he can take the suit off.
He can take the suit off. Like, what? How am I meant to believe that it just bonds to him over, like, the course of a few, like, hours? Like, that's kind of the point. He doesn't need to take the suit off, so he just doesn't. Like, in the cartoon series, like, the suit just turns into other clothes. Like, he's like, oh, this is cool. Like, I can just suit up when I want, or just have it like regular clothes or a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think just makes it more sense, and, you know, means he gets to wear the suit all the time and have it corrupt him slowly and but surely. But in this, he can just take it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard some people say it's like an allegory for substance abuse, which I'm like, I feel people are reaching.
I feel like you could totally do it that way in a long form narrative like a comic book, because you can do that a lot more where it's like, you know, maybe, you know, it starts off, he's only wearing it every so often, maybe he's even put off from wearing it, then it's a little more, then a little more, because you can do that. In a movie, it's a condensed time period, you can't really show that, especially a movie as condensed as this. It would have just been better if it had just stayed on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially because, like, later on, when he actually does try and get rid of the suit, it's almost jarring. It's like, oh, I guess he can't take it off now?
Yeah, it's like, what? But you've been taking it off, like, throughout the whole movie. Why can't you take it off now? Yeah, like, I really was like, they should have just made it so that he just wore it the whole time.
Considering, like, for, you know, like, Sam Raimi understands brevity well enough to, like, do the organic webbing stuff. It's kind of weird that he would go with the more complicated option this time around. It's an odd one. But yeah, basically, yeah, we get Black Suit Peter. I just want to talk about him walking down the street. I just really want to talk about it. It's so great, and everyone hates on it. Everyone hates on this thing, and it got memed so heavily that, like, and I understand why it's a meme. Don't get me wrong, but it got, like, they took the piss out of it in Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like,
hey, even when I didn't like this movie, I was like, this seems good. Like, I don't know what anyone's complaining about. Like, they're very obviously aware, and it's not like, oh, it's an annoying joke. No, it's not annoying. It's just funny. That's the point. Like, they're doing it on purpose.
It does seem like the people who criticize it seem to think it's accidentally funny.
Yeah.
They treat it like it's like this, like, it's almost like it's a so bad it's good moment or something. It's like, no, this is all intentional. Very clearly.
Like, Look at, like, the reactions from people. Like,
the extras are what make that scene.
Yeah.
Like, he's like pointing at them as he walks, and, like, some of them kind of do look at him like, hey, yeah, all right. But then there's a lot of others who are like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah, like what the hell's going on? Like, but that's the point. Like, the symbiote's given him, like, an astronomical amount of, like, overinflated confidence.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care.
Also, he's still as dorky as he was before he had the black suit.
Exactly.
So it's perfectly in character. That is totally what Peter Parker would think is cool.
James Brown is cool, man. Like, I don't fuck.
Yeah, but, you know, you got to remember, like, that's just music playing in his head.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's just walking around silently.
Peter was like, yeah, this would be like a James Brown movie right now. Get on up and drive that funky soul. He's just there like, yeah.
I absolutely love it. him like when he goes into the store and then he comes out again and like
just dancing in the
do the
street.
dance with the hip thrust and like it's great. It's absolutely great. I love it.
That scene actually just makes me feel genuinely actually a little sad. I miss Spoonie. Remember when Spoonie was like not having some kind of emotional breakdown?
Yeah.
I don't even know what review that he did that in. Like,
I can't even remember now. It's been so long.
And I'm not trawling for all those videos again. I will rewatch SWAT 4 though.
I rewatched Phantasmagoria 2 not long ago. That's still entertaining as all fuck. Oh yeah, so he gets Connors to look at the symbiote, which is interesting to me. One, because like he's even like, I'm a physicist, not a biologist. It's like, so you know, like, I mean, this is a university, right? Like there are gonna be people who specialize in this, right?
Yeah, he's like, well.
It's also really weird that they did that with Doc Connors, where it's like, I'm not a biologist. It's like,
fucking.
if you were hoping to do a lizard movie, it's weird that you'd make him not a biologist.
Right?
Like.
He's like, yeah, now to use the physics of turning into a lizard.
It's very odd. I guess because Peter takes physics and he's Peter's, like, tutor, but, like, I don't know.
They could have just said that he did both.
Yeah, okay, he does both.
But they didn't say that. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an odd
Oh, mate, maybe that's why he fucked up the turned into the lizard. Because he isn't a part. See, Raimi was setting it all up. Like, we all had doubts. We were wrong.
Anyway, that's that is kind of a sort of funny moment, but that is where you get the kind of like, well, not right during that scene, but when he's like, you know, it's becoming more aggressive, which I love the way they show that the symbiote is aggressive through the microscope, which is just that there's like cells and it's just batting the cells away. Like, that's what?
Yeah, he's like, it's aggressive. Like,
wouldn't it take over the cells or something?
Yeah,
why would it like
the blood bumping into stuff? Like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
It's aggressive. It has violent cells. These movies are quite silly.
Yeah.
But so I'm really not sure on the order now. I think
So now that he's got the black suit, essentially he is like, right, I'm gonna find the fucking Sandman.
Oh yeah.
And this guy is going down. So, you know, you get a little scene of Peter just chilling out by the fucking thing, the police scanner. That's what it's called. And then he's like, right, let's go. Goes out, swings, finds the Sandman and gets into a fight with him. And I remember just going like, whew, CGI in this movie is really strained. Now, when I say it's really strained, it looks on par. No, that's a lie. It looks better than the final fight in Black Panther.
Low bar, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's really think though. The Black Panther is a movie that came out like, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I know, it was a recent movie, but those were embarrassingly bad effects. That final fight scene was like these fucking reboot-ass fucking...
Yeah, like, I really hope in the DVD or Blu-ray version they, like, polish that shit up, like, hardcore.
Yeah.
But it's just so weird because it's like, why? Like, Spider-Man one's got, like... Because the reason why I use Black Panther, though, is because they fight on a section that has trains. They're fighting back and forth between the trains, so it is actually almost like a very similar scene. But like one's got like a dude who's made of sand and shit.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah,
like,
so I'm like, I can see why these are a bit strained.
Although the bits where he's like actually ramming his head into the passing trains, those are really good.
Oh yeah, that looks wicked.
Those are
like
really
the slow filing down of like Flint Marco's face.
Yeah.
Is really a nice shot.
It also really sells kind of like Peter's sort of brutality with it as well. Like,
you're like, if that was a regular guy, you just fucking killed him.
Yeah. And it doesn't undersell that kind of how violent it is, because it looks just as painful for Sandman as it would be for like a regular person.
Right. Like, his body's made of sand. It still hurts though.
Yeah, well, they constantly show that as well. Like when he gets shot, it clearly hurts him.
Yeah.
It's like this guy actually does feel pain.
Except from when Peter punches a hole in him for some reason. But
Yeah, it's not massively consistent, but like
that's the only time actually. It's just like totally inconsistent.
Yeah.
But
maybe he's putting on a brave face with that one.
yeah, I guess.
But like, yeah, he.
I also really liked how Peter does, like, because he knocks him into some water and then he's like, "Hey, I can fucking kill this guy with water."
Yeah.
So like he like smashes the thing and breaks it open.
Sewer pipe open.
And you know he like just drowns the Sandman, which I ain't even gonna lie, that was actually a pretty good death scene. And I'm gonna say it, Sam should have stayed dead.
Yeah.
That should have been the end. Like, I know we spent time establishing that he's got character or something.
This is where Raimi's stubbornness, I think, got in the way a little bit. Because he did want it to still be a Sandman movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of fought for that. But yeah, it would have been, for Peter's character, it would have worked a lot better were Sandman to stay dead.
Yeah.
Because that's like something Peter would have had to have faced then, is the fact that he killed someone.
Yeah.
But he just kind of gets to sidestep that, because like he thinks he did, and then it just turns out he didn't.
Yeah. Because like he goes to tell Aunt May, and Aunt May's like, "Peter, like what the fuck?" Like, one, I clearly worked out that you're Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And, you know Spider-Man doesn't kill people, i.e. you shouldn't be killing people, Peter. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I thought you'd be cool with that. And she's like, no, not even. So, you know, I thought that could have been like you're saying, an actual moment where Peter's like, oh, I have to deal with the fact that I actually did a murder.
Mm-hmm.
But nope.
Nah, he does come back. So yeah, after that, that's when Mary Jane like goes to Harry, right?
Yeah.
She like goes to Harry and like she's kind of all broken up. So they kind of like just do some cooking together, right?
Yeah, they're hanging out because they're all friends.
Hanging out. James Franco has no idea how to make an omelette. It's fucking terrible. Like it's like he folds it way too early, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna flip it," and like, why would you? It's already folded. You don't flip a folded omelette. It's because the base is supposed to already be cooked.
I like the idea that Raimi was like, "Okay, I just need to make this just need to make this omelette. Like, don't worry, just go ahead and do it. We'll just film it. Like, it'll just be some B-roll." And then, like, while he's filming it, he's like, "James, have you never made an omelette before?" He's like, "Okay, it's going in the movie."
It was like, "I hope you like peppers," and then like he gets like a teaspoon and like teaspoons out like maybe like a handful of chunks of pepper. It's not even a handful.
Yeah, it was literally like 4.
Yeah, like 4 little chunks of pepper. Which one? Why would you spoon that out? What?
And I'm like,
who spoons?
Like,
cut up peppers? Like just sort of pour some of them out into it. Why did you cut up all those peppers?
Yeah, I'm like, who pre-cut all this stuff? Which then for me, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Like, Peter's out here living in some piece of shit shack, and like, you're there like, hey, I guess I'm not hurting for money or anything. And then like, because he's got amnesia, he doesn't remember he's rich. And then like, he's just like, yeah, I live in this mansion. It's alright, Peter. You and your Aunt May both have these piece of shit like fucking apartments. Yeah. You're only my best friend in the world who I'm willing to literally die for. Anyway, have fun on your walk back to the fucking shit shanty town, bro.
Right. So yeah, that peppers thing. There were a lot there. I mean, there was about like 5 peppers cut up into that bowl. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And everything. It's like stupid.
Fucking Bernard just went crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, they're doing that, and then like Mary Jane, she does no. She kisses Harry, which is definitely worse than Peter kissing Gwen.
Hey, they kissed each other. Which I think is probably less bad for Peter, not bad for Peter, for Harry, because he had amnesia at the time, so...
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure at that point he had the context of
Oh,
those two being together, but like...
yeah.
But, yeah, then, like, she's like, no, I fucked up. So she leaves. And then it turns out that Norman Osborn's mirror is actually just magic.
And, like, he just shows him, like, I told you, do what you need to with her, then boom her fast.
Yeah, like, so he touches the mirror and he just gets all his memories back.
All of these things happening for you, just for you.
So, he's, like, evil again now. So he immediately goes and, like, fucking attacks Mary Jane and is like...
Oh, yeah, he's like, finish it!
Yeah. So he makes Mary Jane break up with Peter. Because first we attack his heart.
Which I found myself going like, MJ, like, well, first and foremost, Peter, like, you told MJ about, like, killing the guy who, like, killed your uncle and all sorts of other shit about being Spider-Man. You didn't tell MJ about the Green Goblin or the fact that Harry knows and it's strained your friendship now? Like, you just kept that a secret. She's like, why don't you guys ever hang out anymore? Don't worry about it, MJ. Anyway, let's carry on. Like,
Yeah,
be my girlfriend, not about Spider. And then she knows he's Spider-Man, so when he's like, I'm gonna kill Peter Parker, like, well, she's like, dude, he's like fucking Spider-Man. Like, you can't kill him. Like,
yeah.
So it's a bit weird. I don't know why she wasn't just like, Peter, Harry's like a crazy guy. He wants me to like break up with you.
He's hiding in the bushes over
yeah,
there.
like you should probably punch him in the face.
He decided he wanted to watch, so he's just got it stood and hidden in a bush.
Like, yeah.
And then like so Peter goes to meet Harry and is like, yo, like, Mary Jane just broke up with me, and he's like, yeah, I know, I'm the other guy. So like, so Peter gets up to leave, and that's when we get the line. Just how's that pie? It's really good.
Yeah. He just grinning like, like what face is that? When Peter went to go kill Sandman, Eddie Brock rocked up and took a picture of him and was like, I'm gonna get the staff job.
That's right, yeah. So he goes over and is like, that's a fake photo of Spider-Man that you took. So like he brings along like proof. He doesn't just bring the photo that he ripped off that's clearly like an existing photo that he just like Photoshop black. Like he could have just literally drawn it and not done any drawing on it, but instead he drew around like the foot.
Yeah, he's like, you can see here, this foot is clearly the same as in the other picture.
The whole picture's the same.
So yeah,
yeah.
They look at that and he's like, yeah, this is
Yeah, so he gets Eddie Brock fired.
And they're like, we have to print a retraction.
Yep, and it's better than any newspaper in the UK. The Daily Bugle, the fictional newspaper run by like angry, horrible editor that just lies all the time, is better than any British newspaper because they print their retraction on the front page.
Right.
It's the headline.
Like literally, like Spider-Man not criminal.
Yeah. And anyone who was paying attention during the last election knows that when British newspapers print retractions, even if it was the front page, they print that retraction in tiny print somewhere near the back.
Yeah. Which I find absolutely disgusting. Like,
yep.
I feel that there should be a law. If you make a false statement, your retraction needs to be of an equivalent size and location.
Yeah.
So if it's a minor thing, you can make a minor retraction. If it's a major one, like a headline, you got to make it a headline retraction.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is not at all what happened. That was a travesty. But yeah. So they print retraction, and Eddie Brock gets fired. And is that actually where we get the Spider-Man, like the walk?
That's when the walk.
That's
That's when the walk
happens.
kicks in.
And so I guess we go from there to the jazz club.
Yeah, because Peter's like, well, seeing as she broke my heart because
MJ got a job as a singer and a waitress at a jazz bar.
Yes.
When she lost her job, so Peter takes Gwen on a date to
that bar. Which when she sees Mary Jane, she's like, "Hey Peter, that's your old girlfriend. Are you gonna be okay?" It's like, "Shit, Gwen, are you gonna be okay?" Because if it was me, I'd be like, "Hey, this is bare weird. I feel we should go."
Yeah.
Like, nah. She's like, "Are you gonna be okay?" Because I ain't got no problem flexing on this bitch.
Then like Mary Jane is like about to start singing, and Peter's like, "I've just got to go for a second." She's like, "Okay." Like she looks down, and then like she looks up, and like Peter's just playing the piano on the stage, which because apparently, and I know what your new fan theory is, but he just like is like a fucking jazz pianist.
Yeah, man.
Like the hardest style of piano, basically, that you can play.
And that's when I was like, "Oh shit, it's a thing." Whiplash is in the Spider-Man universe. J.K. Simmons actually is that guy. He taught Peter how to play jazz piano. Like, that's what happened. Like, it's confirmed, guys. So yeah, he jazz pianos so that he can
and then launches into like this whole
revenge seduce Gwen Stacy
after an amazing dance routine prior to that, by the way, where he's like running across the tables and like
it's literally the scene from Anchorman where he's playing jazz flute and then he starts stamping on all the glass.
Yes.
Like sucking up the alcohol through the flute, then he blows it out and it's like on fire and shit.
Yeah, it's honestly it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just again, it's the exact sort of goofy, weird shit you'd expect Peter to do when he's like, "Oh, I'm in bad guy mode now." So yeah, he ends up then sort of dancing with Gwen and kind of just blatantly
Which again, if I was Gwen, I'd be like, "Hey, Peter, I didn't know you were gonna make a big scene. Like, maybe I would have hung about for like a date because I can't just run away. But like, shit, now we're making a scene on her dance singing thing. Like, hey, this is a bit much." Yeah. But nah, Gwen Stacy just rolling up like a heartless bitch. She's like, "Nah, I don't care. I'll flex on this bitch. Like, I literally stole your guy. Like,
fuck you."
Like there is no sisterhood, bitch.
So then, like afterwards, the I guess the manager or the owner is like, tells the security guy to like kick Peter out.
There comes like the worst bit just before that, which is where like Gwen then realized, she's like, "Wait a minute, all of that was for her?" And you're like, "What? You thought he just did this massive dance number for you? Like, you came to." What's wrong with you, Gwen? And then she leaves in like a distraught thing, and we never see her again in the movie.
No, she just like she's gone.
She just that's pretty harsh. Like she never gets any kind of resolution. I like to believe in like my own head fiction, she left and then bumped into like John Jameson, who was also distraught because he got abandoned at the altar for no fucking reason by Mary Jane. Like. So the two of them could reconcile and that they end up getting married or something like.
Yeah. But like MJ's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, "You are." And then so they try and get the security to kick him out. He just beats the shit out of the security. Mary Jane tries to stop him, and he doesn't really punch her. He kind of like shoves her.
So like I guess it's meant to be like a backhand. Like he's just lashing out, and then she's just there.
Yeah, which I guess it couldn't have been that hard because she's fine, and this is a guy who can literally like punch through walls.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Yeah.
But obviously he's like, oh shit, okay, this is maybe turning me into like a bad person.
Yeah.
So
he's like, maybe I should take the suit off.
Yeah, so he goes to a church to do it.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Like, and he is just chilling out in the rain for a bit.
Yeah. He does his cool brooding moment. That looks good for the trailer.
Yep. That's the only reason. That's the worst thing. It wasn't raining beforehand. Literally, the only reason it's raining is because it's a cool trailer shot.
Yeah. So he like goes into this church tower and he's like trying to get it off, and in the church at the same time is Eddie Brock praying to God to kill Peter Parker.
He's like, I haven't asked you for anything, but please kill Peter Parker, Superman.
It is kind of like, I don't think that's how this is supposed to work, dude. My family wasn't Catholic, we were Methodist, so I don't know, maybe it's a little different, but like, I'm pretty sure you can't just ask God to do murders.
Hey man, the Bible is very clear. It says, from the mouth of Jesus, anything you ask for, and it will happen. There are no distinctions. Like Jesus says that prayer literally works for quite literally anything.
Wow, that's irresponsible.
Yes, it is. Like, hey Jesus, do you want to clarify any of this? Like, any of you, like maybe some of the disciples, you guys want to clarify any of this prayer stuff? Okay, well, guess we just have to take what is literally written.
So, he prays to God to kill Peter Parker, just as Peter Parker's managed to get the suit off, because at this point the suit doesn't want to get off. So he accidentally hits the bell.
Yeah.
And in doing that, obviously, Venom doesn't like loud noises.
Yeah. What a weird weakness.
Yeah, loud noises and fire. They don't really, other than the end, they don't. Not as much of a thing. Doesn't like the loud noises, and so the suit kind of comes off of him and just happens to fall on Eddie Brock.
Yep.
Who, I guess, is much more willing to embrace it.
Yeah, he's like, at first he's like, ugh, some groupie slimes on me, and then he's like, oh wait, this is cool.
Yeah. So, he that's kind of pretty much leads towards the final climax in the movie, where basically...
Yeah, because, again, the movie is fucking rushed as hell. Yeah. Oh, we did miss, just before that, actually, Peter goes to see Harry, because he's like, hey man, you stole my girlfriend, so I'm going to fuck you up now.
Yeah, so they got into like this big fight.
And he throws a grenade in his face.
He throws a grenade in... Harry throws a grenade at Peter, who then webs it back and throws it in Harry's face, in a shot that does mirror when the
grenade went off in Peter's face.
Peter's face? No, Peter's face.
Yep.
Which is cool mirroring. And
I think that also sets up the fact that he's not dead, because the explosion that didn't kill Peter shouldn't kill like him either. Yeah,
and Peter just like walks away from that shit, like the whole wall collapses on Harry, and he's just like, well, I'm done here. And then we get the
dance scene and
all that. Yeah. So what we've got then is Eddie Brock like just sort of recruits Sandman to attack Spider-Man, and he's like, okay, I've got nothing else going on.
Yeah, he's just like,
what my character
he's literally just like swinging through the city, and then
Sandman attacks him because he thinks he's
Spider-Man, and he's like, nah, I'm not Spider-Man, like, I'm someone else. Which, that's got to be a hard sell, right? Like, yeah, but Spider-Man's been literally wearing the exact same suit as you, like, how are you going to say he's someone else? Anyway, yeah, he's like, nah, like, look, we both want Spider-Man dead, right? Let's just kill him together, that'd be cool. And he's like, okay, it seems like I have no character motivation anymore. Yeah. Like, are you just getting money for your daughter or something? Like,
from this point on, up until the literal final scene with him, Sandman is just like a monster.
Yeah, like
he stops doing words.
Yeah, he just starts roaring Like,
He's just a giant sand monster going. "Arr."
Yeah, why?
Like Venom webs up Mary Jane in a taxi. Oh yeah, he just like is
Like
in
she
a taxi.
she calls for a
She
taxi.
calls a cab, which Eddie Brock's in. I don't know how he knew when she was going to call a taxi and how long he'd just been driving around and like people like try to hail him and he's like, no.
He's like, hey, where you going? It's like, shut the hell up! Like, I'm working here.
So anyway, like yeah, so she's in the cab and she's up in the cab in a web, and there's a truck full of cinder blocks above her, for reasons.
Yeah, like they're on a construction site.
Yeah, why that was webbed up there? So I'm gonna put this up here. It might cause some tension later on.
All coming useful to save someone's life.
Yeah, both. Yeah. So, like Peter, like sees on the news that like this is happening, and that Mary Jane's there because she's like kind of famous, right? So like
they're like D-list celebrity Mary
so he
Jane.
Like, goes to Harry's house. He's like, hey, I know I threw a grenade in your face and wasn't 100% sure you were alive, but do you want to team up now and we go and fight these guys? And he's like, fuck you. So Peter goes,
like, you scarred up my face. How am I meant to fix this lady's situation now?
Yeah. You betray me. I fed up with this world. And so Peter goes to sort of goes at it alone and just basically gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And then like Sandman's just like pummeling him into the ground repeatedly. So then but then it's Franco has his like Han Solo moment. So like he flies in and he's like,
come on, kid, you won the minute.
So yeah, he flies in. He like sets fire to Sandman, and kind of it saves Peter. There's also a really cool moment in that fight, by the way, where he like roasts Sandman's arm and it just turns to glass.
Yeah,
it's like that's cool. That's actually very cool.
Yeah.
That's you can
not
totally
how it would totally works. It wouldn't have like shattered. It would just
no, it'd be viscous.
yeah.
But who cares? It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. And again, this is where you can totally see that this is the one Raimi wanted to do because it's it has all the cool and inventive moments, whereas the Venom Peter fight that's going on simultaneously is just kind of whatever.
Well, the Venom fight basically just ends like Peter like swings and like off of like a tag move with Harry, kicks Venom. And then the Venom fight's basically over until like the Sandman fight gets done.
Yeah. Yeah. So they fight Sandman. The Sandman fight's really cool.
Yeah. I like the tag team stuff. I like tag team things anyway.
Yeah, I do.
I like the Harry Peter tag team. Were I to make a different movie, the one that wasn't really bloated, I would have let the Harry Peter tag team just happen against Venom. Like, I would have just made it so that Venom was just really strong and Peter couldn't fight him on his own. But whatever.
But yeah, and then so they beat Sandman, and then did he rescue Mary Jane prior to fighting Venom?
No, basically he goes up, kind of grabs her. And
oh yeah, because it's also happening simultaneously. So there's the big kind of the Venom moment where there's a quite insulting flashback where it's so some metal poles, like scaffolding poles, all fall down and it upsets the symbiote as they clank on the floor, and then Peter has a flashback to the church bell. It's could have figured that out on my own movie.
Yeah.
That was a really unnecessary flashback. One, it didn't happen that long ago. Two, we just saw it happen again. I understand how context works.
And if they wanted to make it that obvious, all they needed was to ADR in a line, like, while Peter's struggling and he bumps into the thing, like, this thing hates loud noises.
Yeah.
Done.
But either way, I
Yeah.
mean, it was so obvious anyway that it's like,
I know.
you could totally tell what's happening. So he, I do kind of like this moment where he like slams all the,
Oh yeah,
the,
it looks nice. The pole.
just poles into the ground and then uses another pole to like hit them, so the symbiote kind of starts to like pull itself away from Brock and kind of morph and mutate. So he webs Brock out of it.
Yep.
And then he throws a pumpkin bomb into it, and Brock, being Brock, rushes back into the symbiote.
Yeah, because he likes being evil.
Yeah,
it makes him happy.
So yeah, he ends up dying. Just is completely disintegrated. By the way, like there's nothing left.
Yeah, right.
He's just gone. And then like Sandman sort of comes back, and he's like, "I didn't mean to kill your uncle. I shot him accidentally because the other guy bumped into my back, and then the gun went off. I know this me trying to kill you like 10 seconds ago. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
I didn't. This was my only option. Clearly, was to turn into a giant monster and kidnap that woman.
Like,
and then this whole thing that in no way furthers me getting money for my daughter. I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
Right. Like, all they needed to do was have Eddie go like, what was it? I was researching you, and I know that you've got a daughter, and I know where she is and can kill her. But no, like, dude just is like, oh no, man, like, I was just doing this for no reason.
Yeah, yeah, it's really odd. But anyway, like he goes away, and Peter's like, I don't know. Like,
I forgive you.
He's like, I forgive you, and he floats away. He's like, wait, I'm supposed to take you in or something. I don't know how I would. You're made of sand.
My favourite thing about that whole scene though, where he's just like, I forgive you. He's like, yeah, but what about all those people they killed? Like, a lot of those police officers probably had families, man. Like,
yeah,
you can't tell me that all of them survived.
Yeah. But then, again, what's he actually supposed to do? Like, I'm not sure how I'd even go about taking you into custody. You're, like, giving you to the police or something. They can't web you. You're literally made of sand. You're pretty much just a force of nature at this point. Like, I have no idea. I could slow you down, and that's it, as far as I can tell.
Well, you just, like, throw, like, water on him. Like, you just...
Put him in a bucket.
Yeah, you just...
Stick a lid on it.
Like, you just put, like, the shower sprinklers on or something, and you just leave him there, like, forever in the shower, and he's just like, no, I can't ever, like, pull him up or anything.
Actually horrible.
Like, hey, it was his fault for getting turned into a sand monster.
So yeah, that's pretty much just the plot rundown, really.
Yeah.
One thing I do like right at the end is that things aren't just because Harry dies. That's a big one. Harry dies in the same way that his dad died, with his own stupid surfboard bullshit.
That has knives on it. Stop putting knives on the surfboard.
Yeah. So he gets like killed with his own surfboard, and he's like, "Don't tell Harry." Wait, what?
Like, remember that time at the start of the movie where I said I'd die for my friends? Guess I meant it.
Full circle, baby.
Chekhov's gun.
Planting paid off. So yeah, he dies, and then like the scene right after the climax is his funeral, which again is kind of very much mirroring the first movie, because the first movie ends with a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter and Mary Jane talk, and they're like, yeah, I mean, there's still like a lot of problems here though, right? Like we're definitely not like just back to normal again.
Like,
we didn't really resolve anything. There was the whole thing.
Like, you saved my life, but like, and our best friend just died, but like, that doesn't mean we're dating again.
No.
Like,
no. I mean, if nothing else, you save everyone's life. That's like your whole job.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah.
things are
not
still
a-
kind of where they were. Look, we're good to some degree, but like that's it.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that it's not a they don't just fall in again, or they're just like, well, seeing as our best friend just died, we just ignored all our issues. Like,
Yeah.
no.
And in the actual final moment, as she's singing at the jazz club, he shows up.
And then he's like, now dig on this.
He just outstages her again.
She's like, why do you keep doing this?
Spider-Man 4, bitch.
Like, it's just Mr. Dickovich's daughter there, that's his time.
Now make me some cookies with nuts. Oh, we didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
It's like an earlier scene in the movie that's also been very memed.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that. Like, that's again real Sam Raimi like understanding of Peter Parker as a character. It's like, oh, what's the douche version of Peter Parker? Just mildly inconsiderate. Like,
Right.
So yeah, that's Spider-Man 3. Very flawed, but ultimately not that bad movie.
Yeah. On this new watch back through, the movie is not actually bad. I didn't hate it.
No.
It's better than a lot of other movies.
Well, let's put it this way: if it's between this and like Iron Man 2, I mean, there's no contest really. Like,
Yeah, Iron Man 2, the first Thor movie.
second Thor movie.
Yeah, I didn't hate the second Thor movie, but
I actually disliked the second one more than the first one. I think.
so many people say that, and I'm like, huh, okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, the first one sucks. It's just Masters of the Universe or any of those shitty movies in the 80s where they didn't have enough money to realise a full-blown fantasy world, so they'd do it a little bit at the start and then bring the fantasy character to Earth and just have them be normal for a while. And it's like, haha, get it? Because they don't understand our ways. And yeah, yeah. So still fuck that movie, but like I still prefer it to the second one.
Yeah, I can't remember like a lot of the other Marvel movies. Like,
Well, so many of them I only ever watched once. Anyway,
yeah,
so.
and like I burned out way ahead of everyone else. So I was like, yeah, so I'm tired of these movies, and I'm just not gonna go see most of them.
Oh yeah. I kind of tapped out. Really, from like the completionist side of it, I tapped out probably around about where Age of Ultron maybe, where I was like, yeah, I'm not a completionist anymore. I'm gonna watch the ones that seem interesting to me.
Yeah. Like, what was it? There's movies that I'm like, I will watch, but I just haven't watched them. Like Doctor Strange.
I think I've seen maybe all of them now. But some of them I don't necessarily count because I was kind of watching them around someone else's house and I didn't really watch them properly. And some of them I have watched but just don't remember. Like Doctor Strange, which I know I saw it in the cinema, and I can honestly say I barely remember it.
Yeah, I heard the movie's just like the first Iron Man again.
Yeah, basically, but with kind of magic. But like,
yeah.
I struggle to place scenes and things like that. It's all really muddy for me.
Although the one movie that I haven't seen that, is actually kind of quite integral to like the movies and everyone's like, it's also really good. I just haven't seen Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, see, that one actually, I will say, I think it's a good movie.
Like, loads of people like, the movie's awesome, and I'm like, I'll have to watch that. It sounds really good. Like, everything about this sounds, like, proper up my alley.
Oh, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, and the main villain sucks, but, like, Hela sucks, she's just boring. Just boring Marvel villain. Marvel can't do villains. If it's not Spider-Man, Marvel villains suck. That's even true in comics. Like, Like, Marvel villains are just bad.
Yeah, they're all like, well, the problem is it's because like Marvel heroes are already really interesting, so they don't need a villain to make them an interesting character.
It's the opposite of DC.
Yeah,
DC has loads of cool villains because the heroes kind of suck. Like, apparently, there's a trade-off, except for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's the one instance where you get good villains and good hero.
His villains are like memorable, but like, are they like good though?
Some of them, although thinking about
Like-
it's usually when they're elevated outside of the comics, like from
Yeah.
the 90s cartoon or from the movies. In the comics, they're not actually that interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them are, but yeah, good point. But I'm still, like, overall, though, going back to this, it's a good movie. I do actually recommend it. If you want to decide to sit down and watch the Sam Raimi trilogy, watch the trilogy.
Yeah, I genuinely, I'm really happy actually. Seeing the movies after such a long time, it's a really nice like ending. Like the first ending, like for the first movie, obviously you end on the final swing, Peter saying he can't be with Mary Jane, which kind of sets up for like an eternal. I guess you could say it's great to end the movie on if you're just never going to do a sequel. Spider-Man 2's ending is nice because obviously he gets the girl, but then there's like, oh, what if things go wrong? And obviously 3, it really is like, hey, things did go wrong, and these people are going to try and piece things together from here. Like,
Yeah.
I like the fact that the ending of the movie isn't a Spider-Man ending. It's a Peter and MJ ending. It's a lot more personal, and I think that's a really nice way to end a trilogy, to be honest with you.
Even though they weren't intending it to end there, but...
No. I have heard of like the other things of what they intended to do, which some of it sounds kind of lame. Like the Vulture. Yeah. Like, why did you want to do the Vulture? Man, you set up Kurt Connors for ages. Just fucking do the Lizard.
Right.
And then he's like, yeah, I also want to do the Black Cat. Except she's not the Black Cat. She just now becomes a new Vulture lady. Like, what? She's the Vulturess. It sounds not good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Now, I'm sure Sam would have made an actual good movie. I won't lie. I think he'll do a good job. But
yeah, some of this seems a little weird. I think it's good that
I wouldn't have been happy. Yeah, I wouldn't have been happy. But
yeah, I think it's good that it ended where it did, even though this is the weakest entry. Overall, good movie. Obviously ranked 2 is the best, then 1, then this.
Yeah, and then you could say like any of Andrew Garfield's movies.
Well, both the Tom Holland movies, Spider-Verse, fucking the 70s movies, like any of the crappy like animated movies, the really low tier animated movies that Marvel would shit out for the straight to video market. All of them, and then you've got the Andrew Garfield movie.
Oh, did I say Tom Holland movies?
You said Andrew Garfield.
Oh, cool. Whew,
Yeah.
that was close. I thought we were about to get crucified then.
Yeah, I mean these are better than the Tom Holland movies though.
Well, yeah.
It's just nothing else, just because they're more self-contained.
They're self-contained and they have just more themes going on. Like they're telling like actual character stories. Unfortunately, the MCU is so busy just going like, we got to set up more stuff for the MCU.
Yeah. I actually think Homecoming was quite good, but I didn't really like Far From Home. That's my views on that. Because like Homecoming was kind of like, oh hey yeah, you've got like, it's just a Spider-Man story. Like, don't get me wrong, there's stuff I didn't like about it, but I did like that it was just a Spider-Man story. It's not like a big moment for Spider-Man. It's just like, hey, we've never really seen that as a movie before. Just like, kind of, here's just some shit that happened. Whereas the second one had too much of the like forcing him to be Iron Man stuff, and I didn't like that.
The thing for me that I just hate, and even leans towards Spider-Man PS4, man, Spider-Man is not a gadget character. Like, he's just a guy. He's low tech. Like, again, why organic webbing is so much better. Like, he's got web shooters and like some spider tracers.
Yeah.
Like, aside from that,
dude doesn't have any gadgets.
Mm.
Maybe he's got a flashlight belt. Like,
Yeah, but what about if he has on his web shooters a function that also has machine guns in it, like Ben Reilly. 90s Spider-Man comics were fucking weird.
yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, absolutely recommend after watching the first two. Good, not amazing, but good. Until next time.
Sorry, I just thought, like, greetings, true believers. Get ready for the good Spider-Man. Not spectacular, amazing, just the good.
Until next time, Ian Beale.
Ian Beale.
So you've made it to the end. I am impressed. That means me and Max did a good thing. If you could do us a favour, like give us all of your money, well, if you're not going to do that, please like, comment and subscribe. And sharing is caring. Thanks. Ian Beale.